John Qualy is our next speaker, and John is sitting over here. I want to say John's an old friend, and he is an old friend. I've known John for quite a while. John made his name, however, working with Northwestern Mutual. As a college agent, he started in 1969 after graduating from the University of Missouri. Well, he graduated from the University of Missouri in 1970. He started a scratch district agency in 1973 here in Columbia, Missouri, and grew it from one college intern to $5 million round table qualifiers. And those of you in the insurance industry know what that means. Those are big producers as far as that goes. John was appointed managing partner of the Northwestern Mutual office in 1990 that's in St. Louis. And under his leadership, the agency force grew from 46 financial representatives to 198. It was the largest single office for Northwestern Mutual Financial Network in the United States. Although in 2011 it was broken up into two different offices as a part of John's retirement. I think that's probably why that happened. Premiums have grew from $2.6 million to over $30 million in 2010. The office insures 14,800 lives and has 10 200 live producers, $55 million roundtable members, and 7 managing directors of the company. The Qualy Group led Northwestern Mutual in premiums, lives, and new insureds in 2008, 2009, and 2010. John also won the Growth Award every year he was managing partner and led all managing partners in Pacesetter, First 40, and Second 60 qualifiers. As I mentioned, he did graduate from the University of Missouri back in 1970, and he was a Sigma Chi, if I remember right, when he was here, because he was the brother of a girl I dated in high school, but we won't go into that right now. He's a general agent and manager association master agency award winner from 1993 through 2010, past president of the Managing Partners Association of Northwestern Mutual, and a life member of the $1 Million Roundtable. He has 3 children, Jamie, Josh, and Madison. He has a wife who's an absolutely beautiful woman by the name of Kathy. 3 grandchildren, Caitlin, Braden, and Arden. But I want to say one more thing about John Qualy. John Qualy and I were standing on the sidelines of the University of Missouri football team at the University of Nebraska Stadium back in 1998 with his friend and past quarterback of the Tigers, Phil Snowden. The University of Missouri lost that game 20-13. And had Coach Smith followed our advice, we would have won that game. If they just would have thrown the ball 15 yards to the tight end and just take little pieces going down the field instead of trying to go for the whole thing, they would have won the game. But no, it was 2013, we lost the game, but we're still friends. And here to speak to you about financial freedom, victor or victim, is my friend, John Qualy.
Thank you. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay down here if I can. I've got it. Appreciate all of you being here, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that Rob has given me to address you this morning. A lot of what he said about my career probably is, Don, how are you doing? Alan, John, that's great. Northwestern Mutual people here. You probably are not familiar with some of the jargon. I have been very blessed in my career, and one of the things I did want to say, and it's a delight for me, because back in the 70s when I was struggling as a new financial rep, I had the opportunity, I don't know why it happened, but I had the opportunity to have coffee with Ed Metzen. And so that we're going back now 40 years. And one of the things, we had several coffees, and Ed introduced me to some people, which of course is very important in the financial services business. And he also told me, he said, you know, the thing that you really need to do is teach. You really need to teach people about money. Now that was in the 70s. And Nikki just read out of USA Today, financial illiteracy. Now, so I thank you, Ed. Thank you for your help in growing up a drippy-nosed kid who thought he knew everything but knew nothing. And would you give Ed Metzen a round of applause, please? The other thing is that I did have a chance, I met Rob. We've had some fun. I got involved with the advisory board. And that was a great experience I think that was in the 90s. And I'm so glad to hear that things are growing and emerging with the department. Hey, we got a problem. If you're sitting in this audience and you are not aware of the financial problems we have as a country, but really the financial problems we have in the world and the financial problems we have in our communities, the University of Missouri is one that's challenged. And the financial problems that we have individually. Think about it. Now, I've got some statistics I'm going to show you that tell me this. I've spent 40-some years in the financial services business, and I don't think we're doing a very good job. I don't think we're teaching enough into the middle class to help people become financially free. I think what we've got in the financial services business is a rush to people who have capital to get clients. And we are not helping enough people create capital in a capitalistic economy, in a capitalistic country. So I will say this to the students who are here. There's never been a greater time, in my estimation, and this is 4 decades of being in this business, there's never been a greater time to be in this business because the need is so unbelievable to teach people about amazing money maze. They don't understand. There are so many choices out there that they're afraid actually to expose their lack of knowledge unless they're in front of somebody who connects with them and says, I'm here to teach you some things, I want to help you, and you make your decision. So the opportunity for you, if you are willing to work, and you're courageous, and you will call on people who don't want to talk to you because of their fears, and you call on enough of them, and you teach, you will win big because you will serve. So now, the other thing I want to say to you is this. I have about 2 hours worth of presentation in what is now a 40-minute time frame. So I'm going to move fairly quickly here, and then I'll leave some time for questions. So the title of my talk is Financial Freedom, Financial Freedom, Victim or Victor. Now, I'm going to let you be the judge as to what's going on in our society, okay, with these statistics. So here's my definition of financial freedom. My definition of financial freedom, and I would ask people, what is your definition of financial freedom? My definition of financial freedom was the ability to walk away from whatever you're doing, earning an income, and live a life because you put together enough capital that you can live on the return of the money that the capital produces. That's financial freedom. That is being able to walk into your employer if you choose and say, I'm out of here. Why am I out of here? Because I've got the choice to be out of here, and I've got the capital. Now, here's the problem we've got in our society. People don't know how much capital is required to get to that place. And financial services people have got to help people understand that. And we have a promise. We talk about fanciful returns. Fanciful returns. We got to teach reality of money. Now, there's a guy named Nick Murray who said this was his definition of financial freedom. The 5 great goals of life. 1, look at these words. The endowment, that's the funding. You know, schools have endowments. They're funded with capital. The endowment of a long, comfortable, and totally worry-free retirement. Doesn't that sound good? Long, comfortable, and totally free retirement with no compromise in lifestyle and no real concern about ever running out of money. Isn't that what everybody wants who starts out with great ambition and great inspiration as young people? With 40 years of working lifetime in front of them? Wouldn't you, and in our society, is that not possible? Number 2, the need or desire to intervene meaningfully in the financial lives of your children. Now that intervene meaningfully means when they have needs, you help them. Not in a caretaking way, but in a reciprocal way. You help them because you've got the capital. It also means that you put money away to fund their education. Well, we're doing an abysmally horrible job there in our society, as you heard Nikki talk about. You know, Obama's talking about it now. Let's reduce the interest rate on the student loans. Number 3, the ability to fund totally or in part the education of your grandchildren, thinking generationally with capital. Number 4 is to be able to support your parents as they get older, providing the capital. And then number 5, and the University of Missouri is very interested in this. Very interested. Every school is very interested. Every charity is very interested. The world is interested in if you've got capital, they would love to have you give them some of your capital, and it's going to become more demanding as time goes by for the very reasons that Nikki just talked about. The ability to make a meaningful legacy to a much-loved school, church, charity, or other institution. Okay. Financial freedom achievable, is financial freedom achievable in today's environment? Yes, it is. But millennials, you've got to be intentional from the beginning. You've got to start saving money from the beginning because you have the asset of time. You must be intentional, disciplined, and educated. That's the teaching thing, that you've got to seek education. Seek it. Learn. It's your responsibility. I applaud what Rob is doing and what Ed started. I applaud it. And what, Craig, we were together on the advisory board 100 years ago. It's a huge challenge to get people receptive to understand this. But the odds are overwhelmingly against you. Okay. There's a lot of numbers on this slide, but here's the concept. The greatest asset people have is their income earning ability. The greatest asset. So this is an old slide. It only goes up to $150,000 a year. But if you're 25 and you're making $150,000, you're going to make $6 million. No inflation. Now, we all know the rule of 72. 4% goes into 72 18 times. So if inflation's at 4%, that $150,000 income in 18 years is going to be $300,000. Something that people don't factor in. But people need to start in the beginning understanding, this is my biggest asset. What am I going to do with the money that I earn? Or if you're 40 years old and you have lost the first 20 years of compounding, and you've got age 65 as a retirement date, and you want to be financially free, You've got to look at what am I going to make in the next 25 years, and how much of it am I going to put out there to generate capital. Odds chart. Out of 100 people who start working at age 25, these numbers, by the way, when I started in the business 42 years ago, these numbers were about the same. They haven't changed. It's amazing to me. So, who's wealthy? 1%. Somebody's made that into a pretty good political slogan, haven't they? 1% is wealthy. The question is, what does wealthy mean? And is in fact becoming wealthy and financially free an objective that people have? You have to have it as an objective. 4% have adequate capital saved for retirement. 3% are still working full-time. 63% are dependent on Social Security, friends and relatives, or charity. And if you read the headline yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, Social Security moved down 3 years. If we continue the trend, and next year they say they move it down another 3 years, and it's 2033 down to 2030, one of these days, we're going to have we've got a problem. We're going to have a significant problem. And 29 didn't make it to 65. And part of my business was to help people understand that, that I help people save money and protect families and businesses. That was my career. Save money and protect families and businesses, because everybody dies. And I saw over my career where capital was not provided for in adequate amounts, and the person with the biggest potential asset, human life value, died, and the tremendous havoc created as a result of not thinking and giving a choice to take action. Now, of every 100 people who reach retirement age, so now we've got the 29 who died are not in this thing. Here's the situation we've got. 62 retire with less than $25,000. 62% retire with less than $25,000 in assets. And this number takes into consideration your home mortgage and the net, the asset. 62% retire with less than $25,000 in assets. 35 retire with less than $100,000. Remember, people back when I graduated from college were making $10,000 a year. That $10,000 would become $20,000 in 18 years at 4% inflation. We've got 97% with assets of less than $100,000. How do you feel about that? I mean, these are people who've had a lifetime of working. And how motivated do we need to be to say, I want to help you not be in that situation? But we got to tell people the truth. 2 have assets of between $100,000 and $750,000, widespread numbers. They have adequate pension and retirement accounts. By the way, that the 35, if pension or Social Security went away, they would have a difficult time surviving. Why is pension reform scaring people? Why is Social Security reform scaring people? Because there are so many people dependent on it. I think that after a lifetime of working, that there must be some regret that people have, unless there's a reason, a disability, some reason. There must be some regret that people have that they didn't save enough. And I've talked to older people, because I am one. I've talked to older people, and I think not having enough capital and being dependent has an impact on the hope that people have about the rest of their lives. How important a job, a career, are you involved in? How important is your teaching of people who are young, who say, I've got the rest of my life in front of me, I don't have to listen to this. How important is it to drop in their minds the significance of management of money? I believe this: God's first, family second, better watch your health, finances, top 4. And then, one is financially independent with assets of over $1 million. Keeping that number in mind, 1 million. 1 million. If I were teaching young people today, I would say the faster that you get yourself to the first million, $1 million in your accounts, the quicker you'll become financially free. But we've got to educate people on what it takes to get there. Because $1 million in 2012 is not what $1 million was in 1971 when I started working in this business. But I still have people talking about, they're not thinking big. Financial people aren't thinking big. Don't be order takers, be leaders in helping people understand what it is they need for a fighting chance. Additional data, retirees, I'll go through this pretty quickly. 93% of retirees carry some debt. 30% describe these debts as a problem. 27% of homeowners, retirees, have not paid off their mortgages. Do you know that there was just an article in the Wall Street Journal that there are people who are in their 60s who are still paying off their student loans, and the amount of money is $37 billion. And they're in their 60s. You can't compound in your account money you pay to somebody else. That's a real smart statement, by the way. You cannot compound in your account money you pay to somebody else. So be very careful what you're paying out and very careful what you're taking in. 14% of 64-year-olds face retirement with a negative net worth after a lifetime of earning money. Our society. 24% of Medicare beneficiaries report financial problems from medical bills, and the average credit card debt for 65 to 69-year-olds grew 270% over the last 10 years to $5,000 plus. Our seniors are going into debt. That's not exactly what Nick Murray was talking about, right? It's not exactly what John Qualy was talking about. So my message here is to the younger people in the audience about financial discipline. Here is credit card debt. The average American household with at least one credit card has nearly $11,000 in credit card debt, according to cardweb.com. You're paying other people in teens. You're paying rates of return to other people in the teens. Most households have several different credit cards with balances on them, and many struggle to make the minimum payment. And if you were to take a $10,000 credit card debt and made the minimum payment, it takes like 20 years to pay it off. Becoming a slave to consumption. Payday, this is in addition to the $953 billion in credit card debts. Payday loans, $40 billion. That's where you go in and you say, that's high interest stuff. People need money. I got a payday, I need some money. Auto loans, $314 billion. Owed to the IRS, $345 billion. People back on their taxes. You don't want the IRS as a creditor. You want to stay current with the IRS. And the IRS is going to make it more difficult. I mean, they're putting much more teeth into collecting their debts owed by the citizenry. Student loans, which Nikki talked about. which President Obama is talking about. Student loans are now exceeding, and this is a challenge for higher education, because you can't keep increasing the cost of college and putting people out and then not having jobs. That's not working. That's a challenge, isn't it? I go to a place of higher learning, and I borrow money. Why do you borrow money? Why didn't your parents save the money? You have a baby, how long does it take for that baby to go to college? I think it's like 18 years, maybe 19, maybe 17. But hey, we need to start setting aside some money. Well, I don't know what it's going to cost. Well, it's going to cost a lot. So let's start setting aside some money. Oh, I can't do that. I got to pay this, that, and the other. Hey, financial advisors, are you there to serve? Are we going to create capital, or are we just going to move capital around? Move capital around, you're not doing your job, in my opinion. $1 trillion, more than credit cards. The total debt has doubled in the past 5 years. Well, if that continues, that would mean $2 trillion. 2 trillion. A trillion is 1,000 billion. A billion is 1,000 million. We're talking about some money going the wrong way. 2,000 college grads have the highest debt to date. Nikki said it was 25,000 out of USA Today. My numbers say 27,000. The average debt per student is $27,000. This figure includes loans parents took out to pay for their kids' education. 2/3 of all college students graduate with student loan debt. The average household debt to personal income is now 154%. What are we doing? Car loans are now 6 years, and some of them longer than that, to buy a depreciating asset. Our entire economy is based on credit, personal and governmental. You can't compound in your own account money you pay to someone else. That should be something. I'm going to pay you, then I can't have that dollar do double things. If I pay you, I can't put it away. What's more important, paying you or becoming financially free? That is a value decision you have to have with your prospects. Savings rates in the United States of America. You all know what's happened to the savings rates. What's happened to the savings rates? What's happened? Gone down to where at one point in time, they're now at 3.7% the last month, 3.7%. They were zero. Zero. So here, 1959 and 1982. Hey, 1959, the high was 14.6%. You won't find 14.6% any other place here. These are incidences. Black Monday, 3%. Dot-com bubble as high as 4.7, low 0.9. Credit crisis, 6%, low 0.89. When do people start to think about saving money? When things get bad. Bad. Like on a Monday where the market goes down 700 points. Ooh, geez. I lost something. I better start to maybe that's not the answer. Well, here's what happened in the 80s and 90s. I understand this. I lived it. This is out of New York Times Shrinking Savings. The personal savings rate, income minus spending, arguably tells the best story about our recent optimism. What the writer's talking about, recent optimism of the 80s and 90s. From the mid-50s through the mid-90s, the rate began to fall. In the 1990s, it averaged 5%. In the last several years, it's barely exceeded zero. Now it's coming back a little bit because we're scared. We ought to be scared. Everybody's in debt. They're rioting in Greece. They're rioting in Spain. They don't know what's going on in Italy. The Dutch president was just knocked out because he was providing austerity measures, and the people said, we don't want to follow the German model. Germany is going to balance their budget in 2014. So, one of the reasons for this is the value of assets. Geez, you ought to be every year kind of saying to yourself, let's see, am I in a better financial situation this year than last year? Or am I going downhill? An inventory. If you're a financial rep or advisor, you should be taking inventory of your clients. Are they getting better or are they going backwards? Well, in the 80s and 90s, you didn't have to be a financial genius to make money in the market or make money with your home because it was all going up. Up, up, up. Couple blips, but quick recoveries. Up, up, up. So what happened to our savings rate? Because we all felt wealthier. Our 401ks were getting bigger. Our house values, our equity was growing. So we stopped saving. So the second paragraph, one of the reasons for this, the value of assets, mainly houses and stocks, was growing enormously. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we're never going to see that again. I think we will. I don't know where it's going to come from. But you know, I don't know. Anybody know? Anybody got the answer to that question? I think the answer is that you got to save money. Well, here, there's a company called Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers, in 2001, they were still in business, right? In 2001, Lehman Brothers put out a report with the mischievous title, Are U.S. Households Saving Too Much? And they said, part of it was, forget about Ben Franklin. Because Ben Franklin is known as the person who said, you save money, right? Social Security. My Social Security statement, which I just got in March 27th, this is exactly what is said in the Social Security statement. Social Security, which is the biggest provider of income for people in the United States. But they say, look, saving and investing wisely are important not only for you and your family, but for the entire country. So saving money, think about yourself and your own plan to become financially free. But it's also really good for the country because what's happening in our country? 50% of our country's debt is owed to outsiders. 50% of our country's debt. How much debt do we have as a country right now? We'll say it louder? We're moving to $17 trillion of debt. Now, look. Somebody's got to lead, right? Now, if you follow the government leadership, you're going to be in debt, and that's what's happening. We're about $17 trillion of debt. 50% of it is owed to outsiders because we don't save. The U.S. is beholden to companies that do save. This is David Walker talking, who's the former comptroller to the United States, who had to sign off on stuff for a while, and he quit. Because he said, I'm not signing off on things anymore because we are going down the road. So he quit his job. He said this, without savings there is no future. Savings is the seed cord for our future. David Walker, former Comptroller General of the United States government, he quit in 2008. So the question is, it's a question for each one of you. Because you can't help other people become financially free if you're not on the same road yourself. If you're not disciplined, if you're not learning, if you're not teaching, there's some incongruency there. The only security you have is the result you achieve from your financial plan. Not that I have a financial plan. That is meaningless. It's the result you get from it. It's what are you keeping and growing? It's not what you make, it's what you keep that matters. So, you better have a strategy. So I thought, well, a strategy, who would be a good guy to go to learn about strategy? How about Jack Bogle, founder of Vanguard? Jack Bogle is now about 90 years old. He's a widely sought-after speaker. He founded Vanguard funds. So what does he say? Investment strategy is the first issue that investors should consider. What's your strategy? First issue. At the outset, investing is an act of faith. A willingness to postpone present consumption. We've blown that one. We wouldn't have the debt. We postpone present consumption, and because defined benefit plans are going away, if you've got one, get on your hands and knees and thank God you do, and be prepared that it's going to go away. 401ks are in, but boy, for some reason, we've got people who start 401ks, they take money out of 401ks, they don't get the long-term effect of compounding. And so this postponed present consumption, when I started in the business, it was, hey, you better save 10%. You got Social Security, you got a defined benefit pension plan, save 10%, you're going to win. That's the old retirement. That's old and gone. Defined benefit plan said, we're going to take your last 5 years' income, we're going to pay 60% of that, and we're going to, and if you're really lucky, we're going to inflation protect it for the rest of your life. Gone. You know why it's gone? Because the companies didn't know didn't know how much money it would take, and they underfunded them. Same things happening personally. Postpone present consumption and save for the future. Investing for the long term is central to the achievement of optimal returns by investors. What is long term? How long? At least 20 years. Put money away, I'm not going to touch it for at least 20 years. Anything shorter than that is just deferred spending. It isn't going to compound. It isn't going to grow. It's just putting money away to spend it. More money isn't the answer. Oh, John, I can't tell you how many times I heard this. John, when I make more money, hey, you call me. I'll call you when I make more money. I really, I learned a lot. And when I make more money, I'm going to call you. You know how many people called me because they were making more money? About 1%. I'd go back to review. They were making more money, but guess what happened? New car, vacation home, right? More money isn't the answer. If you mismanage what you earn, you'll mismanage more than what you earn. So borrowing to pay off debts. Borrowing money to pay off debts. Let's figure that one out. I'm ahead because I'm borrowing money to pay off my debts. What did you do? Lower interest rate, extended my payments. Oh. Moonlighting, the year-end bonus, and other sources of added income aren't the solution to the money problems. It's a matter of financial discipline, which is what Rob and I talked about last night, and managing income. Okay, so here is, this statement will, in fact, win the game for you. Win the game if you're not too far gone in the game. Now, what is too far gone in the game? If you've missed the first 20 years of your life and you don't have a lot of capital by the time you're 45, if you don't have a lot of capital by the time you're 45, wow, you got to do a lot more than what I'm talking about here. But if you hit the first 20 years of your life and you put that money away, you're going to get that compounding process to work for you. Determination to systematically save is the key to financial success. Virtually every wealthy individual, million, has begun his fortune by first saving until he had enough capital to begin investing. Save, create capital, invest. Save consistently. Consistent. Build the pot. Pull out of savings to invest. Starting with average funds. Average funds. Oh, when I hit it big, I'm gonna start the whole plan. I'm gonna implement the plan when I hit it big. Starting with average funds can speed the way to financial success. The hardest task on the road to $1 million is saving a nest egg. As soon as a typical American has a small amount of money saved, and if you go to usdebt.org, www.usdebt.org, and you look at the average savings for family, you know what the average savings for family in the United States is? What'd you say, Craig? What's that? 1.5%, 2%? Well, in dollars, it's $6,061. Go to www.usdebtclock.org. There are going to be a bunch of numbers on there changing all the time. It'll tell you the mess we're in. And it's updated like every second. As soon as it's saved, he's tempted to spend it on depreciating assets, a car, a boat, exotic vacation. Most people spend their entire life saving just enough money to buy something to keep their neighbors. They never have enough money left over to make any meaningful investments. Now with credit where it is, you don't, I mean, hey, it used to be like, how much do you need to put down on a home? I mean, we just got so upside down. People were churning houses. When your taxi cab driver is in the real estate business, talking about churning houses, or when the shoe shine guy is telling you about stocks, it's a bubble. Things are about ready to crash. The most powerful force in the universe is compound interest, said by a pretty credible guy. Now, what we tend to do when you see this is we kind of glaze over it. But I will tell you, most people in this country do not have compound interest working for them. They don't have massive amounts of dollars exploding in their accounts when they're getting older. They don't have it because they don't get this into their heart. They got it in their head, but they don't have it in their heart. All right. So you're a learned group. We're at the University of Missouri here. This is the Department of Human Environmental Services. We teach the CFP here, Personal Financial Planning. So my expectation is you will all answer this question correctly. And we're going to do it by a show of hands. I won't call on anybody. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be your employer. We're just going to make believe for a minute. I'm going to be your employer. And I'm going to have you come to work for me for a month. And I'm going to have you do some work. Now, this work is going to be very physically exhausting work. And it's also going to be emotionally stressful work. And I'm going to give you an option of how you're paid at the beginning of the month. You're going to pick how you're going to be paid at the end of the month. If you pick the right answer, I'm paying you the money. If you pick the wrong answer, I'm going to have you work for me for free. Okay? Okay? Now, you Northwestern Mutual people cannot answer this question. Okay? Maybe I should have you answer the question. But so here's how I'm going to pay you. Now remember, we've already told it. This is tough work, right? You're going to be tired at the end of the day. The day's not 8 hours. Option 1 is I'm going to pay you $5 million at the end of the month. $5 million. Pretty good sum. Option 2, I'm going to take a penny. I'm going to put it in an account. And it's going to double every day for the month. How many of you, let me get this up here, option 1, just to refresh your memory. I'll take the $5 million. How many of you are going to take the $5 million? I know. It never changes. Since 86, he's been doing that. Since 1986. Okay. Okay. Absent that remark from the gallery, how many of you would say, I'll take the $5 million? How many would say, I'll take the penny? Let's get it up there. Come on. How many of you are just, okay, I'll take the penny. Okay. You're all working for me for free. Because what's the right answer? Alan? Depends upon which month I ask you to work for me for. So, quizzical. Here's day 1. We put the penny away. See, I got a pointer here. If it's February 28, what's the right answer? I'll take the $5 million. Well, if it's leap year, we just had one, it's $5 million. But if it's a regular month, it's the penny. And if it's a 31-day month, it's definitely the penny. Now here's the point. This is obviously it's 100% a day. No. I mean that's the point is the rate of return on a penny to 2 pennies in day 1 and day 2 is 100%. The rate of return between day 30 and 31 is still 100%. But look at the money that is kicked off. So what do you need to do? Put money away and leave it there. And don't rob it. Because 20 days into it, it's $5,000. In another 11 days, it's $10 million. If a dollar doubled every year for 20, what would it be its value in 20 years? It'd be a million. If it doubled every year, it would be $1 million. Now, in most savings and investments, unless they're in qualified plans, the earnings are taxed, right? The government gets a little bit of the compounding. Well, this is an extreme example, but if you're in a 28% tax bracket, that $1 million of compounding, after paying taxes on the compounding, has diminished to $51,000. What would you rather have, $1 million or $51,000? If you go to a higher tax bracket, 40% tax, I don't know what's going to happen. Does anybody know what's going to happen in terms of the 2012 election? Does anybody know what's going to happen in terms of taxes? I would say this. $17 trillion of debt is going to require somebody to get in there and cut some of these things down, get real austere in terms of waste. No more going to Vegas for $700,000. Can't do that anymore, right? And somebody's going to have to say, hey, we need more revenue. It's a combination of the two. So I think taxes are going to go up. Well, a 40% tax bracket, that million is no longer $51,000, it's $12,000. So there's the million, there's $51,000, there's the $12,000. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that, by the way, if I can go back, I'm not going to do that. Don't want to do that, no. Don't want to do that. But here's the thing. When does the decision have to be made to shelter the money? Year one. Year one. To get maximum value, you've got to make the decision in year one. Teach people the value of compounding tax deferred. Teach people that, you can make 15% at 45 and 16% at 46 and 8% at 47, and you lose 12% at 48. And you have 3 down years, and you have 4 of those years in double digits and everything else 8 or above. And you have steady 6s, and the steady 6s beat the variations. And then you take that at 54, you go to 55, and you lose 30%. You lose 30% in a year, it's going to take you forever to get back with consistent compounding. It's going to take forever. Help people understand the risk of loss. Now, this is a concept that I shared with people that was just a visual, and it says this: most money is consumed. Absolutely true. We consume most of our money. The solution is percentage of income concept, consistently save a percentage of income. Do you know what they're saying now? Experts are saying to save now, because it's no longer your parents' retirement, 23%. 23% of your gross income. Send it ahead. For what? College education. For what? Down payments on homes. For what? Financial freedom. Get the money. Now, what are the roadblocks? Number 1, lack of discipline. Number 2, saving to spend. Number 3, inflation, taxes, disability. Get into a liquid cash account. Now, I chose, believe it or not, as a way of accumulating money, permanent life insurance with Northwestern Mutual. That's what I chose. I know. Don't ever look at insurance as a way of accumulating money. Don't do it. Well, I'm going to show you something as I wrap this thing up. Then what you do is you get your liquid cash account building, growing, characteristics, available for opportunities, no risk earns interest, and you invest in these other things, and you build this massive amount of wealth over time, intentionally. Just to give you an idea, so that you just maybe will entertain thinking about Insurance is a piece of property that is multidimensional. In 1971, when I was a young man, I was 24 years old, I bought a $25,000 policy with Northwestern Mutual, and they told me when I was 24, they said at age 65, my cash values, isn't it amazing? They told me that my cash values at 65 would be $42,000. So I was thinking, okay, I'm 65, all right? They told me my death benefit would be $60,925. Remember, the original policy is $25,000. Based upon the 2012 dividend scale, Northwestern Mutual 2012 dividend scale, my cash values are now $102,000, went up from 42 to 102. I just paid my premium. My death benefit, $162,000. So it was projected to be 61, it went up to 162. It's a $100,000 growth. The dividend interest rate back in 1971 was 4.7%. Now, this is an analysis of the policy, okay? $40 freaking dollars a month, ladies and gentlemen, in 1971. Annual premium, $482.75 with a $6 disability waiver. The 2012 cash value, $102,000. The cash value increase. This is compounding in that you control. I put in $482, and Northwestern put $5,600 in my account last year. This year. I pay them $482, they put $5,600 in. Now, what do I immediately think? What if it was $48,000 and they were putting $563,000 in my account? Could I have saved a little bit more money when I was 24? The answer to that question is, of course, yes, I could have. Of course I could. Do I wish I would have saved? You know, I put in my philosophy, I put 10% of my gross income into insurance programs. I have 77 policies with the Northwestern Mutual. I'm very happy I do. I'm very happy because I've got compounding working for me, tax deferred. What is the internal rate of return on $482.75 over those years? 6.7%. I earned 6.7%. Dollar in, dollar back. Dollar in, dollar back every single year from 1971 through 2012. If I'm in a 34% tax bracket, Missouri has a 6% income tax, 28% federal, that would be a taxable equivalent yield of 10.2% on $40 a month. The death benefit rate of return, 12.7, 15.4, and as I stand in front of you, I'm not deceased yet. But that $102,000 in one policy, $40 a month. These are the dividend interest rates that Northwestern Mutual's paid, 1872, just every 10 years. Now, this is a quote from Porter Stansberry in terms of identifying companies that are capital efficient, that have a brand identity. Find them, put money away in them, let the money grow, dividends for 20 years, presto, 20 years later, you got a competitive return. Oh, it's 3 times harder to keep your money than it is to make it. Third one down. In the last week, I read about 2 pretty significant people that you'd think that went bankrupt. You know, I mean, it's like Warren Sapp. I'm a football fan. I love football. Rob talked. I love football. I love it. Warren Sapp. He's on TV. You know, he just declared bankruptcy. He had $6.7 million in debt. It's 3 times harder to keep it than it is to make it. It's hard to make it. Okay. The last point. In the Wall Street Journal, there was an article, and they asked people to estimate the long-term rates of return after inflation, expenses, and taxes, the net return. Historically, inflation's eaten away 3% a year. People don't talk, let's take into consideration inflation. Investment expenses and taxes have cut returns 1 to 2% a year. Since 1926, U.S. stocks have earned 9.8%. If, like most people, you invest in some bonds and cash, not all in stocks, you got to have a balanced portfolio, and Craig's going to talk about that this afternoon. Your net is likely to be more like 2%. Why many people keep fooling themselves? Here are people who are widely known about in investments, and this is what they would swap their assets out to get a guaranteed rate of return. They'd swap all their assets to get a William Bernstein, Efficient Frontiers, he'd take 4%. Lawrence Siegel would take 3%. The guaranteed rate after taxes, inflation, and expenses. John Bogle, founder of Vanguard, 2.5. Elroy Davidson, if you want to really learn something about markets, this guy is phenomenal. Expert on history of market returns, London Business School, 0.5%. That would be the rate of return they take net. The faith in fanciful high returns isn't just a harmless fairy tale. It leads many people to save too little in hopes that the market will bail them out. The end result is of fairy tale expectations will be a huge shortfall in wealth later in life. This is true. With people working more years rather than putting their feet up in retirement. That's regret. So, how much capital will you need? This is just $1.5 million, $1.5 million to educate kids, to buy houses, to buy cars. You're going to need $1.5 million of capital. $160,000 to buy cars, take vacations, $100,000 buy houses. That's the first house. College education, weddings, who knows? Fund your retirement. I'll just tell you this. My oldest daughter, her wedding was more expensive than 4 years of college. It was a good party. So this is the I can't page. This is the I can't page, and this is why people don't save money. So remember, you can't compound money in your own account. If you pay someone else, save before you spend and do it now. So here's 12 words. 12 words I leave you with that are my philosophy. The abundance of the and. So here, work hard. Work hard. Like work hard every day. And smart. Save money and invest it. Serve people and have fun. I very much appreciate the fact that you have invited me here. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.